We are going to do a beachy dimensional, get all your clients summer ready. I've got a pre-done I'm going to share with you, and I've got Samuel. Shout out to Pivot Point team. If you want to learn how to do some really pretty dimension on nice little curls here, Samuel's the one.
A little secret sauce, huh?
Secret sauce right here. Look at this is his natural texture. So we're going to be doing a really fun, quick placement to give your clients a start to their summer hair. So we'll be doing tipping. So that's the actual technique we're going to be doing. I'm going to get my product ready. Come on in. So we're going to get our product that we're going to feature today is going to be our Silver Lift Powder Lightener from Color Space. So if you want to see the color, it is silver. Check that out. So we've got a really pretty silver tone to it, and it doesn't neutralize the NRP, but it sure does help control it. It gives you a really pretty bright finish. So along with our summer ready hair, let's get this ready. I want to introduce you to the Unimix. So Color Space, the one thing that we are always out to do is to bring innovation from our brushes down to our product. So this is what I'm going to do. We have 20 volume with some developer, and I'm going to mix in. So this is something that's really special. The Unimix helps mix the intended ingredients. Because we have 4 active ingredients in our powder lightener, we really like using the Unimix. You can mix it by hand, but there's something that's really special. The Unimix is part of a system that we've created.
Lupe, I'm just curious, why did you choose this particular lightener? Because I know Color Space has several options when it comes to lightener.
Yes, we have a freehand powder lightener that's great for foilyage and even hair painting. And you can use it in the foil as well. This one gives you 9 levels of lift.
So we are taking Samuel there.
Samuel is going to be light today. So if you notice, what I'm doing is I'm just gently adding little by little to help the Unimix mix our product up properly. And I'm taking my brush and I'm scraping it around just to get the powder off, and then I'll take it off the magnet. So while that's happening, team, this is what's really cool about the Unimix. And I know if anyone is wondering why I'm mixing in a metal bowl, this is a stainless steel bowl. It is acid wash, it's food grade quality, and it's safe to mix hair color in. So we can mix our powder lighteners and our hair color. So Color Space, we use this machine to help mix our color. With hair color, we can use this temperature button here, and it'll bring the product up to body temp. So that helps with sensitivity, it helps with thermal shock. And then with powder lighteners, we do not touch the heat button. You do not want to heat up your powder lighteners. What happens is, this is really interesting, you know how I like to talk about science. If you bring your powder lighteners up to 75 degrees, they will liquefy. And it's not the powder that burns the scalp, it's the liquid that comes out of the foil. So you
Interesting
really don't
little tidbit
want
there.
Yeah, you don't want to. So I'm going to mix it a little bit more, only because I was talking and I want to make sure. So the thing about powder lighteners, all powder lighteners, once they hit a shiny stage and you can see it starting to get shiny, then all the intended ingredients are mixed. And this is important for if you have foils that start to swell. Look at how shiny that is. If you have foils that start to swell while you're working, that would mean that your intended ingredients are starting to process in that foil. And you want to get them to going before, so you don't get swelling in the foils. If you ever, another reason why you would get swelling in foils is because the person in your chair may have metals in their hair. All right, team, look at that texture. This is the texture that I really like. So you can see it has this really thick form. So when I'm mixing little by little, just like baking, I'll add a little bit of powder, mix it up. Little bit of powder, mix it up. Try it at home, even if you're whisking. If you do that, you'll make sure that you'll get all the intended ingredients mixed. And if you're special and you are part of our network family for Color Space, you've got the Unimix. Use it. All right, let's do this. So I've got my product mixed. We are going to be doing Summer Dimension. This is a really fast technique. I love doing this technique on anybody who has natural curls, beachy hair. Think about your clients that are going to be at the beach. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take out this whole top section by looking at the natural curl. So I'm assessing the curl. This is our sectioning, so let's do this. So Kel, if you can get this. So you can see where there's a curl. What I want to do is I want to take a veil, not a lot, just up at this top layer. I'm assessing where this curl is falling. I want them to start coming out from there. Because they're going to go to the beach, this is going to lighten up naturally. Let that happen. Here we're going to jumpstart them into their dimension. So I'm just going to start picking up. Just picking up. So this is going to be the veil. Let me turn as I'm working. This is the section. This is the veil. And you can put your hand there and drop it down so you can see. This will hide what's going to happen and where it's growing from. And let the sun naturally do this piece.
Lupe, I'm curious about the curls. Now, if Samuel had tighter curls or even looser curls in this, what are you looking at as you're picking up your veil?
What I'm looking at is when I drop this down so that you really can't see where this is coming from. And I'll show you our pre-done. And that way you can get an idea of what's happening here. I should have showed you that first. Here we go. So we've got these pieces. And I'm just wanting hair that's going to drop over everything. And that's why I like having them come in with their hair already done and not brushed through, not pulled up in a ponytail, not put in a top knot. I really want to see them with their hair natural so that when I put this down, this will drop over. So this is going to be the shadow. This is going to be the part that's going to hide where the dimension is going to start. So this little guy, now we're going to make a top knot. So this will go into that top knot. Then what we'll do is organically not take a straight line, because a lot of people, like I'll watch and they'll take a straight line on something that has all this dimension. All I'm doing is I'm separating the curls like so. I'm using the curls for my guide. So now that's going to go to the front. We're sectioning in quarters now. That'll go to the front. And you notice I'm being very gentle. I don't want to ruin the curl. Okay? And then let's move some of this out of the way.
I just want to take a second and say hello to everyone watching. Of course, we've got the Color Space team here with us. Cade says hello. He's coming in from Ohio. Dawn is here, of course. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in. And please be sure to send your questions over.
Okay, so I've got the front and the back separated from here. I've got my shadow. And then what I'm going to do in the back is just gently, you can see how pretty these curls are. I'm just moving them out of the way. Now, if the hair is tighter, more coily, it would have a different effect. That would be, I would do a different placement. This is more for this type of a curl, even a little bit tighter. Okay, so then I'm just at the root, I'm not really ruining the ends. Then I'll clip that out of the way. So now I have subsections. I've got 4 quarters. I split the front and the back. And then at the top, let me turn this over so you can actually get a bird's eye view. At the top, what we did is we just picked up pieces that would drop over and veil where we're going to be placing these colors. Now, how much you're going to put in, we'll see. Let's talk about this little girl here. So we did, me, myself, and I, pre-did this mannequin. This was cut by Peter Gray. This is a cute little haircut. So what I did save for you, because I'm going to do a what if for you, I'm going to do her fringe, because Samuel doesn't have a fringe. You may want to get someone with a fringe. I want to show you some ideas with the fringe. But this is really the idea of what we did for her. We just picked up the pieces of the curl, backcombed them, put them in the foil, put our products in. There's a different way of doing the crown that I'm going to do here, so I did section that out for you. So I have 2 little spots here that I'm going to color on her. So you can see all the beachiness, all the ways that's going to start for our curly hair grow. All right, and again, I love this haircut. All right, so let's do this. So again, our products that we're going to be using today are the Color Space Lift Silver Powder Lightener. This one is the one that gives you 9 levels of lift. The freehand powder lightener is green. This one's silver, the other one is green. It's really cool. That one gives you 7 levels of lift. And we're talking real levels of lift, not half levels of lift. I want to use my smaller brush. Okay, so let's start in the back. We could start in the front, but what I want to do is we're going to be bricklaying. So there's going to be a couple of techniques that I want you to pay attention to. One, we're going to bricklay. So we want the curls to lay unevenly. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to soften our tips. The tip is what we're going to be doing. We're going to take a curl, we're going to back comb it, but we're going to soften it two ways. One is elevation and the other is back combing. So let's get started. So one thing about curly hair, if you're not careful, if you look at this bottom, you can see how the perimeter is super soft. If I tip any of that, what's gonna happen is you're gonna lose that hair. You're gonna lose that shape. So I'm gonna go right above it, leave this so that when the curl falls, it really pops out. So these are big, bold pieces. So I'm gonna leave that as my guide. I'm gonna split this back section in thirds. So here's our first section. Now I'm gonna assess the curl. So you can see, I like this curl, I like this curl, and I like this curl. So those are the ones that we're gonna do. I'll drop down and I'll pick the two that are bricklaying. The next one I'll do 3. So the first section is telling us what to do. Okay, so this is the ticket. I'll lift directly from where it grows. Team, you only back comb once. If you back comb more than once, then you're going to lose your tip. I don't know, if you've ever tipped and it isn't what you expected, it's because you started down here and pushed. Look at how there's hardly any hair. So the technique is you put your comb in where you want the tip to start, where you want the blonde to start. You can rough it, drop your comb in, push it away. Now look at how much I have to tip. So the trick to tipping is if you start down here, you'll hardly have anything. If that's what you want, that's how you do it. But if you want to see them, what you do is you drop the comb where you want it to be, rough it up, push that out of the way, and then let's foil. Now, you've got options. If I held this down at a 0 and I back combed up, I'm not going to have a lot of space. If I put this at a 45, let's talk about hair cutting. 0 is the heaviest, it's the strongest when you cut hair. Same thing when you color, you'll only go so far up. If you pull this at a 45, you're able to get higher. If you take this at a 90, away from where it falls, when you back comb and it falls, you disrupt any line that's in the hair. You're over directing it from where it falls. You can even go a little bit further, which we're gonna do on the other. If you over direct it this way, back comb, when it drops, it's 3 times softened.
Diffused.
Diffused. So if you're having problems with creating lines, there could be a couple of reasons why. Your back combing could be off. If you hold it down and you paint, back comb and paint, you're creating a stronger line. At a 45, it's not as strong. The weakest, that would be the most diffused, is 90, and even more is if you stand over here, over direct it, and then back comb it. I promise you, you will get the softest diffusion you could possibly do. Okay, just got fuzziness here, let's do this. 90 degrees, rough it up. I want my highlight to be here, so I'm gonna push my comb in where I want the highlight to be. I'm gonna push this 1 inch past. All right, what I like to do is I like to give a 1 inch gap. I'll put this on. So this is my ruler. I said I pushed it 1 inch past where I want the highlight to be, and this is why. I'll paint from the 1 inch down. Now watch how I paint. I'll apply the product with my brush flat. I roll it back and forth to make sure it's really nice and saturated. And then that 1 inch lip that I have, I blend up. That's another way of getting a really soft blend. Okay, so making sure that this is really saturated. Okay, so I'm gonna pull down. I'll fold once, I'll fold twice, and I'll create a really nice little triangle. Here we go, that's one. Now, here's my other. Let's make sure I've got it where I wanted it. That was one. And it's right here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hold it out from where it grows directly at a 90. This one is up higher. I'm going to take this one lower. I don't want them to be the same. I want it to look like he naturally was sitting in the sun. So I'm going to drop my pintail where I want the highlight, push 1 inch past, so I know I'm going to do this. So now what we're doing is we're bricklaying and then we're varying. So I did my 1 inch in my, I didn't do my 1 inch and I'll show you why. So here I'm going to make sure I apply. In my head, I know my 1 inch. So I'll slide this down and then I'll pull up. Okay? I'll make sure I use my ruler again. If you do that, if you start using a ruler with that foil, folding that foil, you'll get used to it and you just automatically can visually see it. Okay, so I've got my one fold, my next fold.
And you're
Triangle.
folding like this on purpose so you can keep a visual of your bricklay.
Yeah. I like doing this so I can see. And plus, it lets me get individual pieces, individual curls. All right, so here we go. Pulling it directly out. So this one is high. This one is low. I'm going to do this one medium. Rough it up right where I want to see the color. Push down 1 inch past. Okay, let me do my ruler. Here we go. Here's my ruler, my 1 inch ruler. I'll line that up. Make sure it's right there in between all the other two. And then 1 inch down. Now, watch my movements. My hands are applying it with my brush flat. So I'm applying. You'll see when I apply product, my brush is flat to the hair. When I want to make sure it's worked in, because you don't want to have dark shadows in the hair. Let me show you what happens. See where it's really silver? That means that that product isn't saturated. So what you want to do, apply your product flat. When I say flat, your brush is flat to the hair.
And is that just to discharge all the product onto the...
Yeah, it's like to dismount all of that on there. And then if you watch, I'm rolling. This is me going slow motion. I'm going slow motion.
Just wiggling it all on
I'm
there.
just pushing in. But look at the difference. Do you see how it's thick right here and it looks darker? Like there's an unevenness in the color, in the product. It's because this is sucking it up. So when I'm doing this, when I apply it and I roll it back and forth, I'm giving it time to work into the hair. That way, if you get uneven lift, team, this is a challenge. I know I've seen it before in my experience. When it's uneven, it's because my application of powder or lightener is uneven. It's very literal. So you need to make sure that all of that is placed evenly. So now I took that off. I want to make sure. So what I'm looking for before I shut my foil is that the opacity of the silver powder lightener and the product is the same. That looks like the same to me.
So if Samuel had super porous hair, you're really working it back and forth and waiting for it to absorb and
give it a second.
Yeah.
I totally give it a second. Give it a second. Hair is porous. Okay, team. So you can see how they're random, kind of like music notes on a sheet of paper, right? See that? Okay. So now let's go to our next. So we'll take this down gently, and if you notice, I'm not really roughing up the hair. I'm just kind of picking up sections, picking up curls. So now I'm looking at where this is falling. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I want to bricklay. So this curl is going to be my choice. So I'm looking at these two. This curl is going to be my choice. That's going to give me a really nice balance when that hair drops. See that? And then now I'm looking in between these two foils. Let's do this to the hair. I've got this one. So that'll drop. I like to leave some hair because a highlight's not a highlight unless it's next to something that's deeper and darker. And these, as they curl, will be our base. So I'm gonna clip this one.
So once you get your first level of foils in it, it dictates itself, really.
Is it? Now it's telling me where to place everything. That first row is the most important. Now I'm going to look, this one was high, this one was low. I'll take this one high, and I'll take this one low. Okay, so let's do it. So not only am I looking at the hair where it's brick-laid, but if it's high or low. So I'm gonna pull this out at a 90. This one I decided we were gonna do a high, yep. So I'm gonna hold this out at a 90, do a back comb all the way down to the scalp because I want this one to be really tight, and then let's do this. So I have my, oh, let's do our 1 inch. I have to promise I will do 1 inch. Here we go. Pick up my product.
The team at Color Space is crushing on that, your hair color brush.
Isn't this brush
It flows so nicely.
I love this brush. This is the thing about this brush. We had our brushes created by an industrial engineer who actually physically watched. So as I'm doing this, see how I'm rolling it back and forth? I'm watching to see how it's absorbing into the hair. Pull that a little bit. So we had an industrial engineer. He's amazing. And what he did is he watched how we do hair color. And even to our new growth applications, our on the scalp bleach applications, all of it, our foil applications. And one thing that we do, team, and I don't know, I want you to pay attention when you're applying your powder lightener and then how you spin it in your hand in order to do this movement, because you naturally do it. I do believe you naturally do it as a colorist. Okay, so I like the way this looks. I like the way this looks. I like the way this looks. Okay, the one thing I'm going to show you about this brush that is amazing, and I have to say one of my favorite candies is black licorice, and it kind of reminds me of black licorice.
Lupe, you're just letting it be known to
telling you secrets. This has a spiral to it, and it is enough of a spiral, it's wide enough so that our fingers will flip the brush back and forth. That way, watch, if it didn't have it and it had a hard corner and it wouldn't spiral, watch my hand. If I was doing this, look at my arm, I would do this. So if any of you are having burning pains in your wing and your shoulder, that's the reason why. This you don't have to. You can keep your arms tight to your side, which you should be ergonomically while you're working. You should be keeping tight, and then you can spin this around and not have to lift your arm up. That's how the brush is. I mean, that's just one aspect. The other is the bristles, the way that they're tapered. These brushes, and if anybody on the live is using them, it's a testimonial to our craft, because this is one of the innovations that we were talking about, what we want to make sure we bring. I think I'm going to put one here too. Look at that.
It's summer. Let's do it.
Yeah. So get this guy. Okay, so here we go. This one we're going to go medium. So I want the highlight to be here. So I'll put my comb, push back 1 inch because I know it's going to be here. Okay. So I'm just going to put my little 1 inch ruler, pick up our product, and then keep moving. Okay, rolling back and forth, making sure that the product is being saturated. So I'm just going to keep going. Here we go. And it's being pulled out at a 90. Team, holding this up at a 90 and then back combing is going to give you that diffusion that you're looking for. If you still feel like you're getting any of those hard lines in the hair, then you need to walk it and graduate it a little bit. I'm going to grab this curl right here. Okay, 90. This one I'm going to take all the way up. Okay. So you get to decide up, like all the way up, medium, or just the tip.
Now, Lupe, I noticed that you're right around Samuel's ear, and
Yes.
I feel like that's a hot button issue with colorists, like the placement in the hair behind the ear.
Yes.
Are there any aha moments or tips you can share with your audience
Yeah.
about things to look for or do's or don'ts around the ear hair?
So it's really interesting for the people who are watching. I'll describe it and you all do it for me while I'm working. If you were to put your finger right behind your ear, there's a bone there in the mastoid process area. So the mastoid process area, when you have long hair, if you were to look at this girl here, Cal, this hair, if this was brought forward, you could see this is what happens. A lot of people who have long hair will tuck their ears and this hair comes forward. And you can see if it's too dark or too light. If you put your finger here and just go straight up and grab that little triangle of hair, that piece is everything to anybody who wants to be super blonde. Because when they sit down and they do this to their hair, they say, my hair is so dark, but you just did 200 foils and it's dark in here. That's what they're looking for. So that is the area that you really want to make sure you foil. If you want something that has a frame and you want someone to like have a great jawline and you want to frame that, you may want to keep this deeper and darker. And that's this section where I'm at now. I dropped out hair. I want to keep his frame darker. So that's why
that little finger swoop will
change your life. Yeah. Okay, team. So this is what he looks like so far. So it's super fast, right? So let's drop this one down. Now I'm looking to see. I want to make sure I put one here. Look at how it's telling me where it's supposed to go. One here, and one here. And I'll leave that hair there, okay? So let's clip this one, just so I know which one it is. I'll clip this one and this one. So again, I'm pulling this at a 90. I think this one was high. I'm gonna do this one low. So I want it to start about right there. And team, you would want to make sure their haircut is done before you do this. Because if you do these types of techniques and you cut their hair after and then you cut the tips off, that's not good. That's not gonna be a good thing. All right, so we'll pull this up. I have my 1 inch. I'm gonna just real lightly blend. So I've got a blend going on. Now I'm gonna really saturate. So my brush is flat to the hair. Now I'm gonna roll it back and forth. Give it a second to absorb. And one thing that I will tell you about our product, we have shea butter in our developer, which is amazing for textured hair. It's amazing for fine, straight hair. And what it'll do is you can see how it is, shea butter is hydrating and repairing, and you can see how the hair is absorbing it. You can see how it's going. I'm gonna add a little bit more right here.
Just want to take a minute and say hello to our audience. Hope Harris is saying hello.
Hi, Hope.
And Renee
Hi.
Flowers. Can't wait to use all this information at the salon.
It's so much fun. Isn't tipping the best? I love this technique, and it's fast. If you even, team, I know I interrupted you, I'm sorry, Cal. If you were to put foils in everywhere and then go through and do this on their ends, I'm gonna do medium, it would be so cool because you're adding to what it is that you're doing. Okay, who else? Hope?
Oh, and Renee, she says hello.
Hi,
and I just saw that Amy Dodds Ramirez, our hairbrain team, is tuning in and saying hello. Helen, why did you backcomb the hair?
Backcombing, what the backcombing does is it pushes the hair out of the way. So when you're done and you shampoo it and you comb it out, this helps diffuse where that line is. So backcombing helps diffuse any lines that are created in the hair. So backcombing is a really fun technique to do. However, if you over backcomb, then you're going to be at the shampoo bowl combing it out, which is a lot of work. So you want to make sure you don't put a lot in there, but the backcombing really diffuses. Where you start backcombing is really important because you can over backcomb, over shatter, and take out too much hair, and then you won't see any highlights coming through.
Thelma is wondering, what's the formula?
The formula is we are using 30 grams. Okay, so this one I'm going to take up high. We're using 30 grams of Lift Silver Powder Lightener, which is the powder lightener that gives you 9 levels of lift. We have 4 active ingredients, which are amazing. I'm going to push this up and over. And then we're using 20 volume. Our powder lightener has so much power in it that if you're used to using 30 volume with your powder lightener, you would drop it down to 20. Okay, so here, so if you're used to using 20 volume, you would drop that down to 10. Okay, here we go. Roll it back and forth, roll it back and forth. Now, I'm done with that section. I'm going to go to the next back panel. In the salon, I would actually work side to side, side to side, side to side. The reason why I'm doing this is only because I wanted to show you how we're bricklaying right away so you understood the technique. Okay, so I'm rolling it back and forth. That looks really nice and even. This is what I'm looking for, is to make sure the opacity of the powder lightener is even. If that's even and you saturate like this, you will have even lift. There are a few reasons why you end up with uneven lift. The first one is not enough product. If you don't put enough product, hair is absorbent, so it's gonna absorb the hair or the product, so you need to make sure that you put enough in. When it's wet, it's working. When it's dry, it's dead. So team, this is how it looks with it brick light. So let's do this side. So now our first one, remember Kel, that was the one that is dictating what we're doing. So I'm gonna drop down our first subsection because we wanna have the
consistency.
Yeah, we want that perimeter there. So let's take down this curl, that curl, let's pick that up. All right, so we had 3 on the left side. Most likely we'll have 2 on this side. Because this is more towards the middle, I'm gonna leave hair. I'll pick up this one. I like this curl. You like that one?
I do.
I like that one. And then let's pick up, let's drop this out because I want some shadow between. So this is gonna be one curl. And then let's pick up this one. This one.
Thelma was wondering, how long are you going to leave it on for?
Until it gets to as light as we want it. So most of the time, I would say 20-30 minutes would be my target. What my target level is, thank you for that, Thelma. So what my target level is, I want it to be a level 9. I want to lift it to a yellow. So I want to use a level 9. So we are going, I'll talk about the glossing now. We're going to be glossing with our 0 ammonia-free permanent hair color. So 0 ammonia-free is ammonia-free. And it is really cool. You can use it as a permanent hair color, mixing it 1:1 or 1:1.5. But you can turn it into an alkaline demi by mixing it 1:2 with 5 volume. So your developer choice is important, and also your mixing ratio. So your mixing ratio will take it from a permanent hair color to, I'm going to just do the tips here because this one here was all the way up. So see, I'm looking at this. I'm only going to do to here, so I'll rough it up, push 1 inch past.
Lupe, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there ever a time or scenario when you're using this technique, if you would vary your developer?
You could. I'll tell you let's talk a little bit about chemistry if you guys want to talk chemistry and how bleaches work. Can you vary the developer? Yes. But let me tell you how powder lighteners work. Powder lighteners and high lift tints. Anything that you're getting a high lift from. You get the most lift in the first 20 minutes. So meaning, first 20 minutes, if you're not fast and you're working, that bowl of powder lightener that you made starts to wimp out. You get the lift team from your developer. I'm so sorry, from your powder lightener, not the developer. The developer activates the powder lightener. But your working time and how fast it works, that comes from your powder lightener. The working time is your developer.
So you really want to have quality lightener, like
You
color
have to
space
have
hair.
quality, yes. And this is what's really interesting. I'm gonna take this one all the way halfway. We've really, we were given a product, now it's pulled out at a 90 team. That's really important because that when it falls, it's gonna diffuse the line.
And you've pulled everything out at a 90.
At a 90, So here, and the one thing that you'll see is I'll always adjust my mannequin. I'm always adjusting my clients. It's so funny because they apologize. So the thing about powder lighteners, you get the lift from the powder. You have persulfates that actually go into the hair and break down the melanin. So what your developer, if you have too active of a developer, it can actually destroy those persulfates and you won't get the lift. It actually destroys the hair. So low and slow gives you the best lift. So if you were to start with a low developer, like in the back, 10 volume, and as you work to the top and you go to 20 volume, you would still be okay. But if you go to the top with 30 volume and always end up with yellow, there's a reason why. 30 volume doesn't lift clean like a 10 or a 20. So if you like working that way, it's fine. But I'll tell you one thing that you can do. A 10 volume here, and you mix up a fresh bowl of 10 volume there, by the time you're done, it'll be great. Your last section should always be a fresh bowl. because you get the most lift in the first 20 minutes. Test it out. And it's really weird to you. If you try this, you could try this at home. I'm gonna take this one, medium. So, no, I'm gonna do just the 10. If you do a section 10 volume, 20 volume, 30 volume, 40 volume, test it for 20 minutes.
And it should all be the same?
They're all the same. The first 20 minutes, all of them lift the same. Then what happens after that 20 minutes is where you end up with hair or not. Okay, so I'm rolling this back and forth, making sure it's clean. So you can totally start with 10 and with 20. I never use 30 in the foil because I don't need to. I really don't need to. I haven't had to. If you do, that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. You do you. But the way the chemistry works is really important.
Thelma's wondering, would you ever recommend any heat for either color? I'm maybe thinking she means the high lift.
I would not be offended. I wouldn't mind with the high lift. I would never put heat on powder lighteners though, because again, earlier when I had stated that if they heat up after 75 degrees, they liquefy, and that's what goes onto the scalp and burns people.
That's why you're messy, you get bleed marks.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful. And I know there's a thing with putting towels. I'm pulling this out at a 90. I'm gonna take this one all the way down because I did on that side. Putting towels on the hair for processing, I've seen that a lot. And what I've seen is that it's pushing down and causing bleeding. That can cause bleeding as well. So here we go, we're gonna pull this out.
I'm wondering if they do that because the salon is freezing. Is it like in the middle of summer and
Could
it's
be.
super cold?
Could
And
be. Yeah, could be. But the heat, the pressure of the towel can actually do that.
do more harm than good.
Yeah, if you have bleeding issues, that could be from that. All right, so we're gonna roll it back and forth.
Renee is wondering, when choosing a developer for gloss,
Yes.
do you prefer the cream or the liquid activate?
Depends on their hair. Good question. So and it's funny because sometimes I'll just mix half and half if I can't make up my mind. One would be texture. What texture do you want? Do you like it a thicker consistency or do you like it a thinner consistency? So that would be considered from the client's hair. Next would be, do you, okay, so this one, I'm gonna drop it halfway. Let's grab this one. Hair condition. Like what's the condition? Let's do halfway. What's the condition of the client's hair? If they need shea butter, if they need hydration in their hair, totally grab the cream because the cream has shea butter. And then if the hair is healthy and you want it to go through the hair really fast and quick, you could use the liquid. But if you are not sure or that you want it to go quickly through the hair, cream is too thick, I would do half and half. I like mixing half and half. I prefer half and half. So try the half and half if you haven't. Okay, here.
And it's literally half and half?
Half
Or
and
would you
half.
ever use more? It doesn't matter. It's all the same.
Literally
the same product,
yes.
just...
And it's really texture too. But what really makes me decide if I'm going to use cream or liquid is the condition of the hair. Okay. Fold it, and create a triangle. We've got from the center to the corner, and and that's it. All right.
Why the fold down the middle?
Because it looks cute. If you don't fold down the middle, it will not work. Okay, team, look, that's the back. And how cool is that? Like, if you're a client sitting next to
It looks good.
chair,
Yeah,
it
your
looks
client
cool.
is
And
psyched
they're
on
like-
it.
They're like, dude, what's that?
I'm totally going to pay extra for
I know,
this.
this is $25 more. Okay, drop that down. Now I'm going to do the same. I want to keep the perimeter deeper. Remember, most of the time, especially if they're going to wear their hair up, this will hit the sun. Let the sun do that. That'll be pretty. We're just jump starting. Remember, this is a jump start. So I'm going to leave all of this out because I want that to stay a little bit deeper and be a frame. So I'll just clip this like so. and then drop it down. So now let's do we're gonna do the same thing, a horizontal parting. Let's look. I'm gonna just grab this piece right here, okay?
So it doesn't sound like you're gonna be worried about or adding in any money piece thoughts.
No,
that's from Thelma.
Not this one, but it doesn't mean that you can't. So what I just sectioned out, Thelma, you could totally, before you started doing anything, you could start with just doing face frame, back-to-back foils right there. Give them a money piece, for sure. You could totally do that. But this is just an option. So you gave me that what if. That is amazing. So what if they showed a picture and they liked all of this, but they liked that money piece? You could go through the whole face frame and even underneath and place those foils. Okay, so here, roll it back and forth, roll it back and forth. So in the salon, if I wasn't talking or teaching, this would probably take me about 25 minutes. Okay, here, that right there is $2 more. Just doing that is $2 more. Drop this down. Now look, I can pick up, can you guys start seeing
it seems like it's almost going to be like a, should I say, like a reverse money piece? Because you're putting some lightener right behind.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to bring this. I dropped it down, the mannequin down. Now I'm going to rough it up, push all the way down to the root. Remember, this is going to veil over, so my last ones on the side are going to be all the way down to the scalp. Now watch this technique. So we've got our 1 inch. I'm over directing this hair from where it grows, and I'm pushing this down to the ground so it looks like this without the foil. Let me show you. My pintail goes in halfway at the hair shaft. I'm going to grab the tip. This hair goes down to the ground. This one goes up to the ceiling. And this is what I'm doing.
So that's heavy tension.
That's heavy tension. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing all this back comb out of the way. Watch.
Why are you changing your technique for this hair here?
This hair here is at the parietal ridge. This one, see how I'm taking this comb up and over? Taking all this hair up and over. That's going to be a lot of diffusion here. This one I want closer to the scalp because the hair that I have clipped up above it is going to drop over it. So I need it to be higher so that it shows faster, sooner. If I just did the tips, it would look like a cap.
You would have heavy darkness.
It would be heavy darkness. Actually, I'll show you on our mannequin that I'm going to be doing the crown because that's exactly what would happen there. Okay, so I'm rolling this back and forth, making sure it's really saturated. And I do spend time on my saturation. Now I'm pulling this up and out at a 90 because remember, pulling this at a 90, if you think about cutting hair, when you pull it at a 90 and you cut it, you release all the weight. That's what I'm doing with the line. Okay, here, back combing is going to give you one form of diffusion. Pulling it up at a 90 is going to give you another form of diffusion. Okay. And then
the last piece you talked about was over direction.
Yeah,
if you're just joining us now.
Here, let's pull this one up. I like this one. This one's going to be nice. I'm going to do a couple right there. Let's take this one. Let's do this one. Okay, here, pull this at a 90. Take it all the way down to the scalp. Here. Okay, team, so while I'm doing this one, so in the back, what we did is we varied these. So one was high, one was low, one was just the tip. Or one was high, one was medium, and one was just the tip. What you want to make sure when you're doing this one, that's all the way around the face, you want to take these tight. You want to take these close to the scalp. That way when you have that top layer that drops down, there's little pieces of this color coming through, and you can see how bold I picked up this piece. I really like the big bold pieces. Okay, so here, and remember, this is a jump start. Samuel's our jump start. So let's pull this.
Thelma's wondering, how often should your client come back for a touch-up?
Oh gosh.
Would it depend on the summer hair goals?
Summer hair goals. Yeah, I agree. I think whatever the goals are, like, do they want it to be really blonde? You could send him out to Mexico, go surfing for a little bit, and have him come back and see what he needs. You might just want to touch up the top, or maybe around that face frame that you gave him. Okay, so pull this, and then do you pick up the same pieces and just touch up what's grown out. You know, this lasts, gosh, my one friend who I do this on, I used to see her probably, God, what, every 2, maybe 4 months, because her
Awesome.
her hair was a little bit more curly,
So
so it hid.
And if your client is more budget friendly but super loves to come in and see you, this might be a nice placement.
Okay, team, so we got that side done. I want to do this other side real quick, and then the front, and then I'll drop it down. So here we go. Okay, let me get some height in here. Okay, being gentle, being very gentle. I'm going to pull out that face frame. And again, if you want to do a blondine face frame, you totally can. Okay, here, here, here. Let me drop this down. After you're done, there's a couple of things you can do, which we'll talk about here. Okay, we're gonna do the same. Drop it, let's look at the curl. I like that curl.
How are you pricing this? If Samuel was paying us today?
Me personally, I feel kind of weird giving prices, but me personally, I know for a fact Samuel's not gonna come in probably until winter with this, because it's gonna grow out really nice. This is gonna have probably the most graceful grow out that you could give someone with this texture of hair and this type of finish. Because it looks like, when you're finished, it looks like they spent the whole summer at the beach surfing. So because of the service's longevity, and I'm pretty much giving him a service that would probably take him 2 or 3 months to do, 2 or 3 services to do.
You're going to take that into consideration.
I'm going to take that into consideration. I think what I would do is probably charge him a lot for this one. And you got to think about, like, I agree, pricing hourly, there's a lot of philosophies with that. Okay, so I'm going to take this one to the root, I'm going to rough it up, push it down. There's a lot of philosophies on pricing, is it hourly? Yes, but I also think a customized service like this, personalized, because this is pretty personalized, don't you think, with the texture, and I'm working with their texture. So I would consider that as well. I would definitely I would think your starting point would be, what is your full highlight? And then go from there. And because we're doing a gloss as well, I would add that gloss. Now there is something that you can do to get Samuel in sooner. So what does sun, salt do to your toners? It really takes them out of the hair. Glossing usually lasts, we hope, 6 to 8 weeks. So there is something that we teach at Color Space, and it's called a preservation gloss. A preservation gloss is the service that Samuel will do in between his color services. Okay, so I'm looking at this real quick, and then I'll get back to preservation glosses. I'm picking up this because I see this being a really dark spot. So now I'm eyeing what's happening to Samuel's hair. Take it out at a 90. Okay, a preservation gloss is the gloss that you would bring Samuel back into the salon. Samuel, this is going to cost you blank today. I'm going to put you on my schedule, and I'll see you in 6 weeks, and we're going to do a preservation gloss. A preservation gloss adds tone, shine, and condition. You're going to be out in the sun, summertime, it's crazy on the hair, and you're going to come back in. We're going to do a treatment with Stop and Bond, which we'll talk about. With Bond, I'm going to gloss you and then do a treatment with Stop.
Now, if Samuel can't, he's like, I can't, this is my only budget. Is there products that you would recommend, Thelma's wondering, for summertime hair?
For tone? For glossing?
I don't know. She just is wondering, what products do you recommend for maintaining?
Oh, for maintaining. Bob has an amazing violet shampoo. Bob, B-O-B. If you look at Bob, you can look at back of bottle.
This is what they look like here?
Yep. And there's a purple shampoo that is amazing.
So if he can't come in for a gloss, you'll definitely make sure that he leaves with...
He's going to leave with that. There's
awesome.
Definitely home care.
Thanks for asking, Thelma.
Yes.
Question from Ishan. What is a good way to introduce color to a non-hair color person?
A a stylist or a client?
Looks like a client. Seems like a client.
What? I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What is a good way to introduce color to a non-hair color person? How do you introduce hair color to a person who has no hair color?
That's kind of weird for me because I know everyone colors their hair. I'm in second grade. I mean,
you're like, you need something. We'll give you time to.
Second grade.
We'll give you time to marinate on that one.
Yeah, I have to marinate because it's been a very long time.
All right.
I think specializing in hair color. The one thing that I would do if I'm thinking back, let me reach back. I always, especially for summertime, I would talk a client into first would be a tonal change, and that would be with a demi.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, so then it's
super simple, and I would always go with something that was not a lot of maintenance. That way they can see, that way they can
maybe
feel.
Going from like if they're warm, go to ashy, or vice versa. Or
if they're ashy, go to warm. Yeah.
Add some honey or something, or cinnamon.
Yeah, just and I'll tell you, our demi is coming out.
Hey.
September.
Oh,
and I'm
hurry
really
up.
excited about it. So that means, Sean, that's what I would do. I would first introduce them to a demi. Let them get used to it, and maybe give them a couple of little micro weaves if they wanted highlights around through the front face.
Awesome rebound, Lupe. Yeah, awesome rebound. All right, a little comment here. This technique is like the Lizzie McGuire movie when she lied and said her blonde hair was from the sun on the island.
Liar.
Love it. Thanks for that.
Now, this is what I'm going to do. So, team. This is what we've got so far. This is definitely not this could be an introduction to really nice. I would take this one, to Michonne's point, I would do this and take tiny pieces and introduce a highlight. So here we've got the back, here we've got the side, and then here we've got this side. Now what I'm doing is, now that I've got it all done, I'm looking at him, and I'm looking to see. This is a lighter side, and you can see there's a heavier fringe here. Let me let you guys see what we're looking at. Now I'm going to see, I'm just free-handing. I could put one piece here. Look at that curl. Look at that one. That one is so yummy. I'm taking this one. I'll put it in the foil, and I want to make sure, because if this one drops here, oh, maybe I should. No, I want this one. Now you get to look at it and grab. So now you get to look at it and grab. So pull this up. Let's put one here. Now you get to freehand. What do you call this? Crisscross? What is this when you free form? When you're dancing and you get to do whatever you want.
Freestyle.
Freestyle. Here we go. We're freestyling here. So now I'm just eyeing what I want to see. Again, it's pulled out at a 90. Here,
or it's like when you're hair cutting and you're doing your last little snips after the hair is dry.
This is the colorist point cutting.
Yes.
Okay, so here, make a triangle. We've got it. Now I'm going to look again. I'll drop it down and I'll move the hair around. Can you see where that starts? Right here. I'm going to put one. I'm going to grab the curl that is under here. I want this one without getting too much of that face frame. And I'm only going to do, see where the bend is? Where it drops, I'm going to do it probably halfway. Let's go up. Push this down an inch. Put my 1 inch. This is the technique, team. Put it on. And then blend up in that 1 inch. All right. I think this will be our last one. And then I'm going to give you guys a couple of ideas for a fringe. Here, roll it back and forth, back and forth. So if you want to create a seamless effect, lifting it at a 90, backcombing, lifting it at a 90. Here. Okay, let's do our triangle, corner to center to corner, center to corner. Now let's look. Which one, Kel? Do you think there should be another one on there? Maybe. Team, what do you think? I think sometimes when you're done, you're like, okay, just one more. Right? What about right there?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Let's backcomb it.
Thelma's crushing on your butterfly foils.
Cool. I can't wait for you guys to do it. Okay, here. It's too tall. Let's drop it down.
And it's a perfect time to use it because you don't have a lot of hair in this foil.
No.
So you're not disrupting too much
No.
by throwing in that little middle crease.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is you want to make sure that you are working with the customer's natural curl. If they even have a softer curl, or if they don't even have curl, but you know that they curl their hair, you know what, and this is something that, you know, I don't know if y'all are doing them, but their perms are back.
Heck yeah,
Perms are back.
we can confirm at the pro shop we are moving them.
Okay, yeah, see, I like that.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh,
That was the
snap.
last one. Okay, team, I'm going to drop this down so everyone can see what's happening here. So I'm going to do this and watch what I'm doing. Here's the natural part. I can see the part happening. And I'm going to drop this down to see if I want to add anything to the crown, to the sides. Look at how this is dropping down over. So this is going to hide where all the color is coming from. So
This is ensuring the super graceful grow out.
This is the graceful grow out. This piece right here, the top dropping down, and just know these are so high that the hair will rope into them.
So Samuel can grow his hair out for 10 more inches, and this color will, as long as he has his Bob Violet shampoo.
Yeah, get that Bob Violet shampoo. And you know what's really beautiful about that shampoo? You can highlight over it, and it doesn't turn green.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, this is really quick. I just wanted to show you a couple of ideas. So, I'm going to drop this down so you can see all of those were done, and this was, this is the crown area. I want to show you an idea. The same technique, let me rough it up, let me get it going so I can see the curl. I can still see the curls in there. What I'm going to do is I want to over direct because I still want to shadow. So what I'll do, earlier we talked about pick up the curl. Let me take that out because I want still that shadow. Instead of doing this and back combing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so I want you to see this. Let me clip this.
Let me get it up in
Get in
here.
good and tight. So here, in here.
Now,
So
just to start
out-
it from the start, why are you picking this up first?
So I'm picking up this curl because I want to put a natural, look at, this is the back combing, Thelma. So if you pull it up like this, you'll see where it starts. That back combing is what diffuses that line. So I'm going to do the same thing. See how pretty and soft and shattered that is, that line? You can't see it anymore. So pulling this up at a 90, doing this, back combing, I'm not going to color the hair that's back combed so that when I comb it out, it diffuses the line. So that's one way of getting a really pretty diffused line. If you're worried, if you want to keep a shadow and over direct it, just like a haircut, if I step this way, over direct the hair this way, hold it still at a 90, that's 2 ways of shattering. Now I'm back combing, that's 3 ways of shattering. And over directing it this way ensures that there's a root drag, so when it falls this way, it goes short to long. Just like hair cutting. Everything that I just taught you guys has to do with hair cutting. They're all hair cutting concepts. So I'm going to take this, pull this, do that. Now you can see when it goes this way, it'll go more lighter here and darker as it drops down.
So you're not just over directing any which way.
Correct.
Either direction has a point.
You pull it towards you to cut it when you over direct where you want it to be the shortest. So with color, you pull it towards you where you want it to be the lightest. So wherever this drag here at the root, when it goes back, it's going to be darker. We have a color placement called Fast Foils that teaches that hair color. Kind of like, you know, we called it the Farah. We had feathers. And now it's called the butterfly. So if you were going to do the butterfly haircut, it's the same concepts of where you would stand with the butterfly.
So question for our audience who may not be Color Space members yet, could they take your class, a Color Space class?
Yes, and they can experience the color. We have network classes. If you go on to colorspacehair.com please go on and check us out.
So you don't. So to join it, you don't necessarily have to be a Color Space hair salon yet, but maybe you're interested in it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And you can experience the color.
And see if it's right for you.
Okay, so I'm looking at, now I want to talk a little bit about the fringe, and we're finished today. And then what I would do is I would just go through, pick up pieces, definitely drop down, because I would like to have that, as this is such a good shape. I wouldn't want to disrupt the shape, and I'm taking them vertically. So if you take a chunk vertically, it falls vertically in a chunk, like so. And this will give you more pieciness. If you take it this way horizontally, it becomes a veil. So I'm going to move this hair out of the way because this is going to hide where it's going to come from. See
So
that?
since her fringe is a little chunky, you kind of want to maintain that.
Yeah, I like it. So again, I'm doing the same thing. Your frame is like your haircut.
It's dictating.
Your frame is dictating.
So if she had a heavy fringe with just a straight across bang, you may want to consider the horizontal veil.
Right, and so what I'm looking at, see that piece, that's a curl right there? I'm looking right behind it and I'm taking a vertical section. So if you look at it, it's from here to here. It's like a pie section. And then I would just real lightly comb that. And I would only put like, maybe, I always like to put odd numbers. Even numbers is too balanced. If you put odd numbers, it looks best. Okay, so I'm just gonna paint these little guys. Here, here, here.
Tina's giving you support. She's saying it looks amazing. Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
And Thelma was wondering, what about coloring clients with cowlicks? Because oftentimes in the hairline, there are.
It depends on what effect you're looking for. Like, are you talking about a standard? Okay, here's that piece I want to accent, so I'm going to grab this one. Are you talking about like right here where the hair pops either way?
Or maybe like a widow's peak.
A widow's peak, I always mirror the hairline. Whatever it's telling you to do, you have to mirror it. If you want to get close, you mirror it. This one, what I'm doing here is I'm leaving the perimeter, the opposite of the face frame, so that this hair will fall over it and it actually becomes the focal point. A highlight's not a highlight unless it's next to something that's darker. So the front piece of this is what's going to make this stand out. Okay, so here, and when we're finished, this is what we're going to do. And I'll have Kelly come behind me, and after we recap, this way, okay, let me see. Oh, I did this one, because this was we recycled this mannequin. And you can see I did a piece here. This is what I wanted to show you. Especially, so Thelma, you could see how the back combing really diffuses that line. You can see how soft that is. Let me comb it straight so you can see it. Right there. Okay, so we're gonna let her process, and then we will show her, we'll put these pictures up on this feed later on. So we're gonna gloss with 0 ammonia-free permanent hair color. So what we're going to use, I wanna bring Samuel up to a level 9. We'll do half 9.1, which is ash, blue, one is blue, and then we're going to do 9.13, which is beige, half and half. I want a cool beigey feel to it. Mix 1 to 2 with 5 volume, process for around 10 minutes, shampoo it off, and give him a beautiful tone to his hair.
Is 10 minutes your normal standard time for glossing?
You can go from 5 to 10 minutes. I like 10 minutes because it's enough. What's really cool about this type of gloss is it's an alkaline gloss. So you can create shift. You can shift out old glosses and then it'll redeposit. You can, instead of doing a base break or what do you call it when you do like a shadow root or a
melt?
A melt. It will break that base. It'll shift that base like a half a level so that you don't need to do that.
Awesome.
I know, it like saves time, so it saves a step. So that's the difference between an alkaline demi versus an acid demi. You could use acid demis 2 or 3 times, and then once they've deposited too much and you need to shift them out, you would move to an alkaline demi and it'll shift out all the old tone and brighten the hair back up. That way you don't get murky ends. You know how some blondes look like they're murky, or if they use too much purple shampoo too often. This type of a gloss will shift all of that tone out of the hair. The clear in this line will shift out fashion colors. There's a really great class that we have that teaches you how to use the clears to shift out color out of the hair. So today we learned our beachy dimension. We talked about pulling it out at a 90, vacuuming it straight back to help with diffusion. We diffused 2 times, lifting it up and vacuuming. We worked with the natural curl, leaving the crown out so that it was a natural, graceful grow out, leaving the face frame as well. We talked about how to do that technique on a fringe and how to really over direct it and give you 3 ways of diffusion. And we will post these pictures on the hair brain after we get done glossing them. Was there another question?
There was. Thelma has one more question. Do you add heat with your gloss?
No, no heat. You don't need to. You do not need to. It's amazing. The tone that deposits, and it will last you 6 weeks. Depends on how much sun, it depends on what you're doing, what shampoos you're using. The glosses are true to level, what we call honest glossing. If you lift it to a 9, you use a 9. If you lift it to a 10,
no need for funny business.
No funny business. You don't have to sit and watch it. You don't have to babysit it. You don't rough it up. You put it on, let it set, don't touch it, and then you shampoo it out when you're done.
That's the magic of color space.
We finish with stop. So stop is part of our system. Stop cream has, again, it has shea butter. So stop cream has manganese gluconate in it, and what it does is it stops all the chemical action. So when we're finished with everything, after the gloss, we put the stop in.
Awesome.
And that's what stops it from working.